Hello everyone, it's time to work in our scrap journals again. Now of course these are the projects that I did last week. I was making flowers out of baby wipes. I made this tag here, paperclip, and this little project here. And I'm glad I stopped when I did last week, and I stopped because time was ticking on and I wasn't too sure how I wanted to display these in my journal. I have a really clear idea as to how my journal is going to look by the end of the year, but the problem I had was deciding how I was going to go about achieving it, and I've had a few days to think now, and so, you know, time to have another dabble. Now, of course, this is the tag that I created, and I used a baby wipe to put on the back. I just love how this turned out, and I didn't want to glue it down and cover up all this gorgeous texture. So I've dug out this piece of junk mail here. I think this we had a voucher that came in this, and I'm going to put my tag inside it. But of course, you know, at the moment it's not very pretty, so I need to think about coordinating papers to cover that up. And then I'm going to put my flowers down like this, and I think that little card's going to go there, my paper clip on the edge here. I need to think of some way of covering up this text, which I don't really like, and I've got an idea as to how I want to finish off the edge as well. So I'm just going to talk you through what I'm going to do with this. This was one of the mop-up pages. In fact, it's a piece of mixed media paper that I did when I was doing the mood board in January, and I was just mopping up leftover paint and stamping off. And I just think this will make a really nice cover for this little pocket here. But because it's mixed media paper, it's too thick. So I've just photocopied it onto a piece of regular paper on my home printer. And I'm just going to glue that down. And then I need to have a think about what papers I'm going to use for the inside. And I'm thinking that maybe I'll stick this on, because again, this is another mop-up paper from the mood board. And then week 2, when I was decorating the cover of my journal as well. So let me just remind you of the cover of the journal, and you can see here that I've stamped off or stenciled off some of the mandalas. So that makes sense to me because it's all in keeping. And again, I'll leave the links to the videos showing how I made the beautiful journal cover. I just absolutely love it. And week 1, where I filled my journal with some pages and of course did the first couple of projects. So I'll put this on to fast forward and just, you know, let you watch. And I've just popped a little brad on the front to match the key on the tag. There we go. I just poked a hole with my pokey tool. That key was from the same set as this that I got, which was from the Works here in the UK. So I think I'm going to have it something like that, slanted as opposed to straight. And I'm just I've just popped some of the red double-sided tape that I use on the back, just because that's nice and strong. And I'm just going to glue these on with my hot glue gun. Now I want to add a ruffle to the inside of my pocket here, something like that. And the way that I've done that is I've just got some of this seam binding that I picked up from the scrap store, and I've just hand tacked it just with some pink thread. So I folded a piece under, and then I've just concertinaed it like this, tacking to hold the fold. And I think I'm just going to stitch this with my sewing machine. So here we go. I've got my little ruffle and I've added some of my red double-sided sticky tape to the back, but I'm also going to add a bead of Fabri-Tac as well, just to the edge, just to help, because I don't want that coming undone. So I've already stuck that tight there with double-sided sticky tape as well. There we go, that's enough. And then I'm going to peel my double-sided tape off. My sewing is not the best. I'm a complete novice when it comes to using a sewing machine. But if anybody wants to know what I'm using, I'm a complete beginner on the sewing machine. But I've just bought my first one. There we go. I just love that. Isn't that cute? Woohoo! Now I feel that I just want to add some stenciling to my background. It's just looking a bit too chaotic, and I want to bring in some of the flowers that are on the front of the folder as well. So I'm just using this flower stencil, which was the one I originally used when I made the other side of this piece. And I just used some pink and some pale blue just to add a few details. And then I just add some scribbly lines when the paint is dry, and this just brings that page together for me. It just makes such a difference once you go over with the scribbly lines. It just makes it look really whimsical. I do black first and with a fine liner pen, and then add some white as well, and I just love the way that that looks. And then I also add some dots, because on the other side of the cover I've got lots of dots as well, and this just helps balance everything out and just makes it look to me more of a completed background. And I'm just using some white gesso to add the dots here with a makeup sponge. And again, in a minute you'll see that I use some paint brush protectors just to add some black dots, and again I'm using black gesso to do this. And I do end up using 2 or 3 different sizes of paintbrush protectors to add some circles around my page. I use a very small one to add some circles in the areas where I haven't got so much detail, which just, you know, looks really cute to me. And then I use a pale blue neo colour just to fill some of them in to add a bit more colour. This is how I'm looking so far, and I've added a bit more of the XOXO washi tape to the bottom of the tag just to hold it inside that little pocket. And you can see where I've added some of the neo colour as well to some of the dots. Now I've made another pocket for my little card that I made, so I'm just going to pop that inside like that. I've just got some of the red sticky tape, but I've also found some of these flowers that I've had in my stash. These have been sent to me in Happy Mail by a mixture of different people. Betsy Doodle has sent me some, Angie Beaumont, I think even some are Maggie Locklear's, but you know, I couldn't tell you whose is who. But this one just goes perfectly with the page, and so I'm just going to cut it in half and stick it down half on each and just ink around the edges. So I'm just going to cut it in half, trying not to overthink it. And do I want to ink around the edges of that? No, I'm just going to glue that on, and I've got a glue stick here, so let's just apply some glue, focusing on the edges so that it doesn't come unstuck. So that's that side, so we'll try and get it in the middle like that, and then apply some glue to the other side. And this is just a great way of using up, you know, all your painted papers, bits and bobs of Happy Mail that you've received over the years and just haven't got around to using yet. We've all got them. And then try and line this up so that there we are, I think it's about there. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's about right. And then I'm just going to ink around the edges using my StazOn in Midnight Blue. And just make sure that that's stuck down nicely, and then I'll just go around the edges. And then I've just peeled the tape off, and I'm just going to stick this down inside. Like that. There we go. So I've got my little pocket and I've inked around the edges, and I've just glued a piece of ribbon on the back as well. I've got a strip of the red score tape diagonally across the centre, and so I'm just going to glue that down, and the ribbon is just so, I just don't overthink it, just plonk it down, there we go, and the ribbon is just so that I can close it and so that it doesn't keep flopping open. And that's just another cute little thing to jazz up my journal. There we go. How cute is that? I've just raided through my stash as well, and I don't know whether you can remember me making some journals, and I think I made, it was just journals and ATCs, and that matches really well, so I'm going to pop that in. And I've just got a tag left over from mop-up paper. I think that is just cereal boxes folded in half. I think this was probably left over from one of the junkets, the junk Use It or Lose It that Kylie Coo did, so I'm just going to pop that in as well, and that just finishes that spread off. And then if I want to doodle on it anymore, I can. I've only got a tiny weeny piece of this ribbon left, so I thought I might as well just put it through this tag so that it matches the rest of the page for when I finally decide to do something with it. So there we go. And it's just added a bit more interest as well. Turning the page over, that's what I've got on the back. I forgot to mention as well that I added some washi tape just as a border around that page. But I've dug this out as well. I've got a whole box full of artwork that I have created over the last 2 to 3 years since I've been doing YouTube. And this is one piece that I've got that was in my box that just happens to go really well. So I am going to stick that down there. I'm going to take the top part off first. Because I want to line this up, so I'm just going to stick that down. Let's have a go, something like that, and then I can peel the rest off safely, knowing that I'm not going to screw it up as it were. I'm just going to tuck that in there like that, and then just press that down. Of course, I've got so much dimension on the pages already. This is going to be a chunky monkey by the time I've finished. And then I want some kind of quote or something to go on the bottom there, like that. That's got a bit wrinkled, but you know, who cares? I don't mind. Now, I feel as if I want to do something with hearts, just because, you know, that's the theme for this month. I know that I said that for the Use Your Scraps week that it wouldn't be prompt related, but, you know, I just want to throw a heart in there. And I'm going to do something with this page, but I'm going to take it out first just so that it's easier for me to work on. So let's just move that out of the way. Right, okie dokie. I just absolutely love all the colours and the patterns that I've got going on here. So I've got the heart template that I used for, was it last week's? It was the week before's project, wasn't it? The mood board, that's right. And I've also got the centerpiece. So what I am going to do, in fact, I shall get some repositional glue to start off with. Let me just reach for it. So I've got some repositional glue here, which I'm just going to apply to the back just to stop my heart from coming unstuck. There we go. Let's just make sure that I'm happy with where I want that to go. Just play around with it until you sort of find a spot that you like when you're doing this type of thing. There we go. That's good. So I'm just going to glue that down over the top like that. And then I'm going to grab some paint. And so I'm just working on a piece of old parchment paper. Work away from your heart so that the paint doesn't, or whatever shape you're using if you want to do this technique, so that paint doesn't seep underneath. I end up adding 2 coats of the pale blue paint to cover the background, and then highlight the heart using 2 different shades of purple neo colours just to outline it. Then I decide I want to replicate some of those swirly circles that are inside the heart, so I use a soft sponge and the lid off an oil bottle. It's just a small cork, just to add some whimsical dots, and I'm swirling the sponge around, trying to get a bit of texture going. And then whilst the paint is still wet, I just go over the top of the turquoise with the lavender, and you can still see the turquoise poking through underneath, and I just really like the way that that looks. And then I just feel that I want to add a bit of the lime green that's inside the heart. So I use a bottle lid just to outline a couple of these circles. Of course, I don't want to waste any of the leftover paint, so I just scrape the leftovers off onto a piece of scratch mixed media paper with a palette knife so that I can use that for a future project. Then I decide to outline some of the larger circles using some Payne's Grey paint. Black would just be a little bit too harsh, whereas Payne's Grey is a good compromise. And finally, just to finish the page off, I add a quote, start each day with a grateful heart, and also add a puffy sticker which I found lying around on my desk and just seemed to fit the page perfectly. So here's what my page looks like now that I've popped it back in my journal. I pulled out this piece of wrapping paper because I just think it looks really nice as a backdrop to the plain blue page, because of course I've kept the background to this page quite simple, just because the background on the opposite page, this one here, is just so busy. I just didn't want to distract from that, but I just think these two pages just work really, really well together. Now I want to do some kind of collage on the bottom of this page here, but I haven't found anything that is jumping out at me as yet, so I'll save that for a later date. And just to remind you, that's what this spread looks like as well. I just love these little elements here where you can open things. It's just so much fun. Love that flower. I wish I could remember who had painted that. If you recognise it, do let me know in the comments below. And of course, here's the tag. So I look forward to seeing what everybody else decides to do with their scraps this week. And if you enjoyed watching me play along, as always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, and do let me know what you think in the comments below. Just before I go as well, here's the mop-up page that I created using all the leftovers from this piece here. So, I can use that to make something at a later date. But that's it for this week. I'll be back next week with a new mood board challenge, so take care everyone, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.